us right now is Gina Watson. She's the owner of South Bay Jewelry, and even though she's a GIA gemologist, we're not going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about something different, and I find really interesting. Good to see you today.
Thank you, Ken. Good to see you too. Thank you.
And the main topic today is people may have all different kinds of jewelry. They may have the pieces like candle holders and all kinds of stuff, and they may be under the assumption, right or wrong, that these are what you would call pure silver, pure gold, or whatever it might be. And that's where you can come in to find out about that and the way you test it. Am I right?
That's correct. And as you know, when we go into the legacy program with our clients, we want to sort through and to evaluate and to determine the what is a value and what is not a value, and what is considered unwanted jewelry. So what we're going to talk about today is actually looking at the gold that we're considering unwanted, or just if we're selling it and it's going to be consigned, we have to know what the value is, what type of metal it is, as well as the sterling silver. And sterling silver is one of the big topics today, because this is something that our guests can do at home on their own to start looking by separating their sterling silver. So the first thing I want to talk about is a lot of the tableware will be marked, and that will determine that it is actually, it has to say 925, and it has to say the word sterling. And then this is considered the items that you can separate at home. If in fact it doesn't, and it just says silver, silver is not sterling. So it either has to say, excuse me, sterling or 925.
So tell me what the difference is between silver and sterling. Is it the purity of it, if it's plated, or what?
Sterling is what we want, is what you have the value in. If it says silver, it could be silver plate, and it's just coated with the silver. So we want it to say sterling, and we want it to say 92 or 925.
So I'm curious about this, because looking at like this knife here, and does that mean if it says sterling, is it pure sterling? And probably by the weight, this is hollow inside here, I would say.
That's correct.
And but what I'm asking is, everything you see here is made from sterling, even this part here, this little.
No, that is not. So the blade is always just stainless steel.
That's why I was wondering.
As well as this, because this is a tougher metal. And silver is very soft. As a matter of fact, at home, Ken, you can take and you can bend the silver. The sterling. You can see how well that's going to bend. If it's a really hard piece at home, we're going to be able to, most of the time, you're going to be able to feel that it's actually just a plated over, and it's plated over brass most of the time.
Now what about, and I hate to interrupt you, but I'm curious about this. What if you come across something that is 200-300 years old? Would you have had stainless steel back then, or would it have all been sterling, because that was the metal of choice back then?
That is correct. And if you look at the heirloom websites, they are always, there's many different patterns, Gorham being one of them, and this is a Gorham piece, and they go back 200 years, and they are by far the finest. All the sterling silver that you see on these old patterns are made of sterling silver 925. However, there is English silver, and a lot of the English, they used 800. So it's going to be different, and that's something that will be marked on the item. If it's not marked, the 925, that's when we go in and we actually start to test it with the acids that we use in order to determine what the actual metal content is.
All right, that's something to look for. And the reason I ask this is, a few months back when we were in Williamsburg, and you can buy pure silver if you want. They have the tradespeople there doing that. I guess what was common back then in the 1700s and 1800s, they would take silver coins and pound them out into a useful tool. because the value was still there for the silver, but now instead of just a coin, it's now a knife or whatever it is.
That's correct. Now, what they do is it starts off with your bullion, your sterling silver, and what you're saying to me is absolutely correct. When you buy a coin, a silver coin,
Right.
now you're at fine 999%.
Okay.
And that's what's being marketed when you're looking at buying bullion.
Okay.
But when they actually manufacture it into a houseware like this, they actually put the copper into it.
Okay.
And that's the difference of that 5%.
Okay.
Because it's going to be a little harder that they need to work with. The other thing I want to mention is a lot of the tableware, Ken, and this week we just bought candelabras. And you know, they're fascinating, but of course nobody's wanting them in the family anymore. So the family came to us, we bought the candelabras, and they're packed, as you can feel. They're very heavy, and that's sand.
Okay, I was going to say
sand.
that, yes, because I had heard that before. Yeah, they're not going to make this totally pure. It would
They need
would
to be
unreasonable.
able to stand up with the you know, with the candle in there. So when we go to buy it, or when you go to sell it, you have to realize that they have to take into consideration. They're not going to pull this open in front of you. Usually we have an idea what these are going to weigh. In this case, we had two candelabras. One was emptied with the sand. It was easy for us, and the other one had all the sand in it. So we could put the two on the scale and we know what they're going to weigh. And this is a really great way of evaluating. At home, first of all, you can do the separating, or through the Legacy program, we will do it for you.
Okay.
But a lot of people, they bring in boxes of plates and platters. And so I always say to them, if you want, bring them in, I will separate them for you. But at home, go ahead and start to look, turn them over, and you'll always see, it'll say sterling and 925.
Okay.
If it just says silver and no 925, most likely it's plate.
Okay.
But if you need my help, I'll help you separate those.
Okay, let's move on to gold, because I think we have all these heard these terms before: 14 karat, 18 karat, that sort of thing.
Right.
First of all, what does that mean? And second of all, is 18 karat worth more than 14 karat or 24 karat?
Okay.
Or how does that work?
All right. Well, 24 karat is your pure gold.
So that's gold bullion. Okay.
So we know they can't make jewelry out of that.
Right.
It's way too soft. They do in Asia, and that's 22 karat. We call that Bach chain. Okay. Typically in the USA, we have 14 karat gold. That's what we manufacture here. An upgrade for that is 18 karat.
Okay.
This is the big thing though, Ken. Gold is marked 14 or 18, and they have a number symbol that represents that as well.
Okay.
14 karat may say 565. 18 karat will say 750. And those two may or may not be on there. Now the big question is, and this is something that you have to realize, clients will come in and they'll say, Gina, it's marked 18 karat. And I'll say, that's okay. But we have to test everything, because the manufacturers, they do a little slip and slide. And so the 925, or excuse me, the 750, which is 18 karat, is not 18 karat most of the time when we test it on with our nitric acid on slate. And we have like a little chemistry project that we do with the client, and we show them. First we assess that they're 18, and then we do the testing so that they can see what the price would be, and then we have to test it.
Okay, so does that mean in general, let's say it's authentic, 18 karat is going to be worth more than 14?
18 karat
it's a percentage of pure gold.
It's 75% of the pure gold value, market price. And today gold is at $12.50 to $12.80.
Right.
And there's a big swing right now that is taking place, sometimes $13 an ounce. It will slide daily. Okay. So it's kind of tricky. But we try to, we refine every week. Okay. That means that in our store in Aliso Viejo, we take the gold, we melt it down. It turns into a bar. Now we go to a facility that is regulated by the state. They have a very expensive machine, and they actually have to pin punch the metal bar that we give them, and they assay test it.
Okay.
They give us the actual reading. So for instance, we just bought a bunch of gold that looked 18 to 22 karat. When we actually went and had it punched and assay tested, amazing to me, although I did do the testing on with my client, it ended up being 16.30 karat gold.
Okay.
Not 22 karat, not 18 karat, but it slid down to 16%, 16 karat.
Okay. All right. So that means that it was worth a little bit less, but still it was worth
Ken.
more
Now,
than 14 carats.
It's really important, this process that everyone takes place, because guess what? This is going back, my bar, to bullion, to the investor.
Right.
So everything has to be very accurate.
Right.
From the moment we buy, to the moment it gets assayed, and to the moment it's sold. So it's a very strategic thing. The one area that is always of the drawback is when the client has to learn that the pieces that they purchased originally from the jewelry store was not what was labeled on that metal.
Right.
And that's the heartbreaking point.
Yeah.
But it's our job to educate them.
All right. Great stuff, and the coins people can bring in too. And I know with coins, there is the actual real value of it because of the bullion, and then there's the collector's or emotional value to it. And the collector's value could be far more. I mean, let's face it. If you get this, a 1939 penny or something, it's going to be worth far more than what the little disc of copper is worth.
That's right. Coins are, you want to be an expert. I really caution the viewers to, if you're going to buy investment coins, please be an expert at it, or get really good sound advice from someone. Recently we had a client that we helped, and she took all her coins that she had. She basically bought them when gold was up to $16 to $17 an ounce, $16 to $18. They were just traditional gold coins, US coins. And they were in a beautiful packet. They were brand new strikes. There wasn't anything special about them. For some reason, she paid double the amount of bullion for those coins. And I knocked my brain out to try to reason why.
Right.
And none of my experts could come up with the reason otherwise than she was led in the wrong hands.
Okay.
So I would really stress, if you're going to buy coins, buy bullion, buy them for their value of what the market is today. And then as your market price goes up, you can play with whether or not you're going to sell them. And you're going to pay a few dollars more than what the coin is worth for bullion value, because they're going to be in a nice packet, they're going to be certified. But do be careful when you're buying coins.
All right, very good. If anyone has any of these, of silver, of flatware, well, not flatware, silverware, real silverware, bring them by and you can check them out for them.
That's our legacy program. We're here to help you sort, evaluate, guide, and we will help you discern what to give to your heirs and what you should look at yourself selling today.
Okay, that sounds good. And if I go to Knott's and pan for gold and get the little flakes, I can bring them by.
I'll test it for you.
See if it's real gold from Knott's. I want to find that out.
Exactly.
Hey, thank you very much.
You're
Always
welcome.
good to see you.
Thank you, Ken.
The website is southbayjewelryoc.com. You got to remember the OC part. 949-643-1777. They're up in Aliso Viejo. We'll be right back. I wonder.